and join Satan's kingdom on earth, and they know darn well what it is, and they know not to, but their own suffering leads them into getting that. And so it's just that's going to be something else, a whole different aspect of things. And the Lord's witnesses will be here at that time, His evangelists roaming, warning people. And but the thing is, they're still going to do it. There's so many people that are just going to go to the dark side, and they know Bible prophecy, they know all these things are coming, but they didn't prepare because they believed the rapture would come, take them out, that the Lord was going to come and save us all before the tribulation period started, and they base all their doctrines on Pauline books, and now they're the least ones prepared for the things that are coming. Another thing that has just always has got my goat is that so many Christians believe in the churches today that Satan can't touch them because they're Christians. And that's hogwash, because I've seen in the Bible codes myself there are Christians being held in these underground bases, being used as experiments by our government. There are Christian women being abducted by aliens, being used for breeding experiments. And some people say, well, these UFO abductions aren't real. Well, yes, some of them aren't. Some of them are hoaxes put on by the military and the government. And that way, if something seeps out about, they become lucid, they remember something, and go, oh, that was a military guy, that wasn't really really an alien, he had a costume on or whatever. They keep people confused. There is no doubt the fallen angels have been abducting people for years. They did it in Noah's time. They did it in earlier times. They're doing it now. They haven't stopped. They just went underground. And so, the church has a lot coming that they don't expect. And I hear from a lot of believers, a lot of Christians who can't talk about things that are happening to them because everybody in the churches will call them crazy, and the usual metaphors, well, you can't really be saved then if that's happening to you. I don't know how many times I've heard that one. I walked away from the churches years ago, and the Lord pulled me out of them, and I don't miss them. I don't miss them. And so just a lot of things coming. One of the things I wanted to re-emphasize, because we're kind of getting focused on the disasters happening in this country, with the economy crashing, is to also keep your eyes on the East, because Maitreya is here. He is here. And what's funny is that he hasn't been able so far to make his arrival the way he wanted it, the way they had planned, because he lost his forces, he's lost his reinforcements, he's embattled, and they're all in derision. And so I think what he's doing is he's just in sit mode, and he's waiting for Jesus to arrive. And this Jesus is Sananda. I've warned about him. It goes by the name of Jesus, Satan's general, one of these ascended masters coming down. He's going to mimic the Son of God. And right now, at this point, I think Maitreya is just sitting and waiting for the Sananda to arrive, because his plans of having his big day of declaration and making himself all great has really been just tossed out the window. He may try to salvage that, but even that's getting to be a joke. Because if you look at Satan's kingdom, the whole thing about Satan's kingdom is they're built up on technology, and they're dependent, even when they do arrive to Earth, that everyone's going to be able to watch them on TV. Because one of the whole points of this whole chemtrail operation was putting aerosols in the air so that holographics would work. And so they were going to have this huge, and they're still going to have it, but it's going to be limited, this huge holographic display from heaven of Sananda, this Jesus arriving from heaven with his heavenly hosts, which are nothing but fallen angels, mimicking angels, the glow around them, the whole Hollywood effect, and really mimicking the second coming of Christ, what the Bible describes. And so the chemtrails were going to help with this whole holographic thing, because they needed the aerosols in the air. And so with all the orgone we've put around the world, especially here in America, from one end of this country to the other, we've destroyed their ability to mask the entire country in chemtrails. And so I don't think we're going to be able to see the holographic show from heaven. So we'd have to see it on TV. But here's another thing, because, with people losing their homes, they're losing their jobs, one of the first things they're not going to be able to afford, other than luxuries that I talked about earlier, is cable bills. And in America, in about 80-90% of America, if you don't have cable, you have no TV. And so how are people going to even be able to see this spectacle on TV when they can't pay their cable bills, won't have television? And most of them are going to be losing their cars in about a year, and still don't pay any radio to listen to either. So it really, in all their greed and haste to destroy America and get everything under their control, at the same time it bites them in their own feet because no one's going to be able to see any of the charades they have planned. And so, quite amusing, actually. Sad on one aspect and funny on the other, because it just bites them in their own butts. No one to see him declare how great he is. And how, anybody else in the world is gonna care that some Mahdi from Iran is here and over there gathering up his troops and his alliances with Ethiopia and the Arabian nations over there. Pretty much just have to keep your eyes on the internet for news, and I guess that's just how it's going to go for now. But then when we lose the internet, that's going to be that, and the internet will go down eventually. It will go down, and that's planned. That's planned. They're going to take it down, and so, whether you can afford it or not, there just won't be an internet. And they're going to start taking that down once they start implementing martial law here in America. Maybe much sooner, maybe when they start taking out big mouths. I don't know. I do believe it'll be around a little bit while. Past that, I think they'll take the big mouths out. And then once martial law really starts going, then they'll take down the internet. But just some things lining up. Like I said, if you have a question for the show, you can send it to SherryTalkRadio at yahoo.com. Another thing I wanted to bring up tonight and reiterate, you read a bunch of mixed things going around the internet. And one of the things that even I warned about in one of my articles several years ago was this, and there's an article on the internet this week, Social Engineering for a False Flag Alien Attack, put out at roguegovernment.com by Lee Rogers. And a lot of these articles coming out have a lot of good info. It's one of these things we have to chew the grass and spit out the hay, because a lot of these people believe that we're being set up to fear the aliens, because now that the whole facade of the 9/11 is coming out, people no longer believe the World Trade Towers were blown up by terrorists, and everybody knows our government was behind it, and they used it as an excuse to get into Iraq, using it as an excuse to become imperialists in the Middle East, and nobody buys it anymore that there's a Bin Laden boogeyman out there, and if there was, he was the CIA agent anyway. His name was Tim Osmond. All that started in Chicago. And so I traced the roots back to Al-Qaeda. It's not Saudi Arabia, it's Chicago. So people aren't buying that anymore, thanks to the internet and people being able to get truth spread out. So what they need to do now is come up with another threat, because what they want to do is globalize governments and the military. And you see them doing that now and they're doing this to every country, not just America. They're taking corporations out. Foreign buyers are buying up corporations in everybody's countries. Immigration is a problem in every country, not just America. We have an influx of illegal Mexican aliens here. In Europe, they have an influx of illegal Muslims, immigration is a problem everywhere. And another thing is corporations selling out, moving to different countries, and then different countries coming in and buying up. Like, I think China owns half of America already. We have toll booths, American highway toll booths owned by foreign countries. It's ridiculous. And they're just dividing and splicing up and mapping up America, giving it to other countries to own. And that's what they're doing, the same thing to other countries. And that's systematically destroying every nation in the world by what they're doing. So this isn't just an American problem, it's a global problem. But now that everybody's getting on to them and what they're doing, some think that they need to set up a fear tactic, that this whole thing is they're going to set up a hoax, an alien false flag attack, get everybody afraid of aliens, and so when the aliens arrive, and the governments will unite to fight against them. And so there's like I said, you've got to really chew the grass and spit out the hay, because first of all, they've got that right. These aliens are no good. They are. I don't fear them. I fight against them with the orgone. And so you get these pity articles where they want you to think that, not all aliens are bad. And yes, they are. There are no good aliens. That's the biggest problem there is with the New Ager, is they think there's good aliens. There's only two types of being in heaven, celestial and terrestrial. If they were angels with the Most High, they would be celestial beings, not terrestrial. Terrestrial beings have been kicked out of heaven. And that's what you're dealing with these aliens, these fallen angels, in this whole fourth dimension